Hey NCS family, here's Andrea from Los Identities, one of the two guys composing the Los Identities duo, and today we're gonna do a walkthrough of our track called For Me in collaboration with Roth. It's a track that is particular for us because we used to do harder and more energetic genres like this one, and this one. So yeah, this time for me it's more melodic and chill vibe. I hope you enjoy it, and let's dive deep into the dough and let's see the project. Alright guys, so before going into the project, I would like to let you know that me and Gianluca work in a specific workflow. We divide like the production and the mixing part in two separate DAWs. So what we're doing now is like using FL Studio for all the production from start to the end, and when I think the production is done, we make the stems and we send it to Studio One, and we do the mixing and the mastering into Studio One. So today what you're gonna listen to on this project is just the production side. There's no mixing, no mastering going on. If you want to see also the mixing or the mastering of this track, you can drop some comments below, and we will do everything that is on our possibilities to make it happen and make like another video showing you the mixing process on this track in particular. But yeah, I start with the project. The first thing I'm gonna let you see is the guitar here on the first section. It's really simple. This one was recorded, but I was feeling like it was really muddy, so this is without processing. Too dark, too closed in my opinion. That's why we worked a little bit with the EQs, especially EQs. Here we removed some rumble, which was not needed at all. And also this annoying frequency 230, which was really bothering me. This helped a lot to track. And also here is a little bit of expansion of this single note. I was needing a little bit of expansion there, so just on those notes, this note. Nothing crazy, as you can see. So the second plugin you're using here is more for the tone. We needed a little bit more beefy sound, like on the 500 Hz, because it lost quite a few of the low mids. And there's also the preamp going on. This is a beautiful EQ emulating a Pultec style EQ, so it's really nice. Then I put a mega EQ for some air, so 40k was really nice. Little bit of compression, I believe 3-4 dBs. Yep, maybe hitting 5, not more. And a little bit of control on the low end, because I was still needing a little bit of control on the low end, as you can see. And that's it for the guitar, I think. Not gonna show you the vocal processing because it's on the Studio One project or the mixing project, so there's not much going on here. And let's see, in second section we have like these drums going in. Building scars from the knife, so far gone. Super simple, nothing crazy. We have a kick going on, some snares, a little bit of glassy sound. We should have also here, yep, those fast percussions. And that's the groove. Super simple, but I think it's effective in this case. One thing I would like to show you is that we decided to give different snares for different rhythmics. So basically the first one and the third one is always the same, and the second one and the fourth one is always different. And what differs is just this simple layer, and in my opinion this helps a lot to keep the groove going, even though it's super simple. So instead of having always the same snare, we have one snare hitting and the second snare is with a different layer, so it sounds slightly different. First and second. So that's it, really simple. Another cool thing here is that we use those vocal plucky sound as an harmonic part for the vocal. For the vocal. So basically, usually you have like the vocal going on and a harm for the vocal.
Building scars from the knife, so
Here.
far gone.
Instead, this time we decided to use a synth instead of the vocal harmonizer. So what is going on here is like the synth doing the harmony of the vocals, which is kind of cool effect sometimes.
Scars from the knife, so far gone. I was blind.
This super simple Serum sound probably, yeah. We made this on Serum, just a little bit of reverb, a black hole reverb, and that's it. Let's move to the next section, which is the one that probably you are mostly interested for, which is the Vocoder part.
So now that I found what I was looking for.
So this is an interesting part. We worked a lot on the vocodecs and vocoders here. There's different layers of vocoder. The first one, which is also the most important, let's say, layer, is this one.
So now that I found what I was looking for.
Everything you see here about the vocoders is made through Vocal Synth 2. Beautiful plugin, really powerful. I suggest to try it. And yes, this is the main layer. Then we got a support layer for the side information.
So now that I found what I was looking for.
A single vox on the low end.
So now that I found what I was looking for.
A support for the low mid, I believe. Yes. And those last two work really well with the sub and the res bass, which are those two, yes.
So now that I found what I was looking for.
And this basically is like the whole fundamentals of those vocodecs. We put back those ones.
So now that I found what I was.
And with the main vox.
So now that I found what I was looking for.
This is basically what we did on the vocoder, but what we were missing now is like all those spaces. We wanted to have like a super cool sounding effect where the vocoder is really prominent, but at the same time we didn't want to have too much space, empty space. That's why we worked a lot with different delays, reverbs, and a bunch of fills. As you can see here, there's all those reverbs going on. Let's see, it should be this one too, and this one too. So this helped a lot to fill those little gaps you're gonna see in a few again. And also we decided to make a bunch of different tries for the fills that I'm gonna show you. Here's a little bit of fast percussions just to tighten it a little bit up, the vocoder part. Super easy, but did their job. And here's the fills. We did a bunch of tries here. And these are the ones we decided to use at the end. Super easy, but at the end, all together works,
So
in
now
my opinion.
that I found what I was looking for. I'm shining a light on the dark that I was coming from. It never broke me down to my knees.
Okay, now we move to the last section. The build-up is quite a simple standard build-up. The only thing I would like to mention here probably is the piano we did here. I recorded the piano, was playing it, so we always try when using pianos, guitars, those acoustic instruments, we always try to play it instead of like just use synths, because it's just different. You can feel it. So here's the piano we ended up using. even though the first piano we prepared was this one, I believe. Which is a beautiful harmony, but we weren't sure if this was just the right fit for this track, and we ended up using the other one, so the result is this one. And I think this is for the break, that's all. Now Gianluca is gonna explain you the drop. See ya!
Hey everyone, I'm Gianluca. Let's move on with the drop. So, first of all, I want to show you the various sections of the drop so you can see how we divide the project. First of all, we have the vocal. As you can see, there are a couple of hooks who are going during the drop. Then we have the vocal chops, the side chain, the main drums, so kick, snare, main Foleys, main percussion. Then we have the instrument section with all the automation that are really a lot on this song. So we have the bass, the white noise, the chords, the lead, the strange layers who make the tone of the chords and all the stuff on the drop. All the background drums and all the stuff who helps the song to make some groove. And finally we have a little effect section. So these are all the sections. Let's move on to the vocals. For the vocals, there's not much going on. We have the main hook, who is this one, who is completely clean because we processed it on another project, and the vocal chops, who are basically some cut and paste of the main vocal, and with some automation, with some format and pitch automations. And the most particular part of the vocal chops is this part. That I will show you on the instrument part because it affects all the song. So for the vocals, there's nothing more. The vocal chops aren't processed too. So I think we are ready to go on with the sidechain. On this project, the sidechain is based on this little program who sends MIDI informations to the real plugin who is in the mixer, and it's called Shaperbox 2. This plugin permits you to create some different triggers based on the notes on the piano roll. So as you can see here, there are the C sharp, D, D sharp, E, and in the pattern we can see that the sidechain is changing, basing the sidechain curve on the letter that we inserted on the piano roll. So as you can see, this helps a lot to create some groove and to create a great sidechain based on the part of the drop where the song is playing. So this isn't a technique that we use on all the projects, but on this one it helped a lot to create some extra groove on the drums and between the drums and the instruments. Let's move on with the main drums. Let's start from the kick. The kick is a 3-layer kick. First one, second one, with the stereo part, and the click. Then we have the snare, who are a couple of layers. Let's start from this. Fully. And finally we have this tonal snare that we did with Serum, who helps to create a tonal part on the snare. Super stupid layer. And here below we have a couple of extra drums, like some toms and low drums. Nothing special, but it helps with the groove. About the processing of these drums, we have a couple of elements on the kick, and on the snares there are basically only equalizations and filters. On the main kick we have a transient shaper who helps to increase the attack and to decrease the sustain, and a filter. And on the stereo layer we have this plugin who helps a lot to have a large image and a little equalization. On the other, as I said, there are only filters, equalizers and a couple of stereo imagers, nothing more. For the main drums, that's all. Let's move on with the main instruments. So the instruments section is based on a white noise layer and on 2 basses and 5 chords and lead layers. Let's break down them one by one. The white noise is very simple, is a simple noise on the serum with an equalizer on the high and low end. Then we have the main part. Let's start from the basses. First bass. Little equalization. This is a equalizer for automations. Equalizing, so we cut it up some high end. BX Digital with this mono maker at 127 Hz, and finally a pretty heavy saturation with the Saturn II. This helped a lot the bass to have the tone that we were looking for. And finally we have the shaper box for the sidechain. Second bass. This is the high layer, mid and high layer. Here's the equalization, filter for automation, Serum FX for automations, but I don't see nothing going on, so I think we didn't use it. And finally, shaper box for sidechain. Let's move into the bass group, where we can find a compressor to control the layers, and a filter for automation, and another filter for automation. So basically only automations. Then we have the layers. I will let you listen them one by one. Very soft full lead, very soft full chord, another soft full chord. This is the main one. Another white noise layer and a chorus solo. Let's give a fast look to the various layers on the mixer. So strange lead, basically only an endless smile for automations. Keys, nothing. Choir, equalization and Serum FX for automations, but another time I didn't see nothing for automations here. White noise with a stereo delay effect and a little equalization. And then we have the chorus solo with basically only a pretty balance who helps with the volume, I think, as automation. The source of these layers is on the chords group, where we have 2 saturators. The first one is the FabFilter Saturn II, who has a high and mid-range saturator, and a black box from Plugin Alliance, who has also a little saturator, a pentode saturator. And then we have only automations, so I think we can move on with the automation part. For the automation part of the instruments, we have a couple of volume controls because the tails weren't very perfect, so we wanted to create some manual effects. Then we have a bass and mid-top bass filter in order to have a more precise volume control of them, with also a little resonance filter effect. Then we have automation on the parallel distortion of the chords, because it isn't necessary on the drop, but we have it on the breakdowns. And then there are a couple of extra automation that I will show you from here, I think. These automations help the sound to move and to modulate during the drop without being very static. And the main part of the automation is created for this. So we wanted to create something who is very soft but also not so static. So the automation of the equalization is on the chords group but also on the bass group, as you can see here. And finally, the little effect that we created on the second part of the drop is this one, who is a combination of LFO tool mix level, shaper box mix level, fab filter filter effect, and a couple of extra stuff here. For the final touch, I will show you inside the plugin what's happening on this little effect. This is what's happening in the plugin. And this is what's happening in the... Nothing more. So the drop is based on automations and modulation of the sounds. To complete the instrument section, we have a couple of samples who help to create the nice environment for this track. So we have a crash and a lo-fi ambient sample. That's all for the instrument part. Rhythmic part. So here we have all the background elements who are helping the groove of the song. Let's hear them one by one and let's see the processing on the mixer. So first loop, only a little filter. Second loop, nothing, I think. Another filter. Another one, fully loop with a little automation of the stereo image of the pen. Then we have the hi-hats, little lo-fi hi-hats, and here there are some effects. Who are basically not processed or with a couple of equalization and the reverbs. Let's hear them all together, and then we have also the automations. Let's play them with the main drums too. This is the rhythmic part. Let's go on with the final part, the effects. So here we have really not so much going on. Some chimes and some sweeps, nothing more. And a little impact here on the strange effect with the LFO. So that's all for the first drop. I think there aren't other elements. If I forgot something, write it on the comments and I will do some stories with the explanation. Now let's give a look to the second drop. On the second drop, the first part is the same of the first one. Let's give a fast listen. On the second part, there are a couple of new elements going on. Here there are some extra hi-hats. These. Nothing special, they are giving only an extra rhythm. And the main new element is this lead, who has, as you can see, a couple of new automations. We can see a balance automation, so a volume automation. The LFO tool thing that there is also on the chords and on the bass. So this is the same of the other one. Here we have a master control of the volume. And here there are a couple of serum automations like the release, the decay and the reverb. Nothing special. Let's listen the MIDI with the automations. I think the LFO part is a little bugged because it should be a little more solid, but this project is a little bugged on this part, so now it was played good. So the leads are basically two serums that we have done from scratch because they are simple leads. This. And this lead, who is basically the same but with less effects on one part of the drop, nothing more. Moving on the mixer, we have a couple of extra plugins like a camel crusher to distort the lead, a fab filter to filter it, and volume control and the LFO that I showed you before with in the instrument part. So I think that's all for this project. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, just write them below on the comments and we will wrap you on Instagram. Follow us if you want to know more about us and our music, and see you on the next video.